Now, I'm going to tell you the two most radical companies in the world, in my view. And one of them is going to be speaking at the University of Chicago, Hong Kong later this year. And every time I spend a window with him, I learn so much, which is Victor Fung. And Fung is the largest manufacturer in the world, by the way. They have 20,000 factories in 48 countries. And they can turn them on and turn them off whenever they want to. Oh, they're virtual. They don't own them. They just control them. They control the raw material going into them, the designs, the labor management. They control them, but they don't own the assets. They virtualize them. I saw Victor last November in Hong Kong for a private meeting for advice. He's amazing. And I wanted 15 minutes, and I got a 2.5-hour lecture, and I learned again. And I said, you know, it's amazing you went from 7,500 factories to 10,000 in the last 3 years. And he said, no, we went to 20,000 in the last 3 years. Garments, textiles, Coca-Cola, Disney products, toys, wine refrigerators, electronics, everything you can think of, Fung now makes, but always for the branded products. That's the point. They're invisible. There's even a shopping mall at Fung headquarters with about 30 stores, 2-story mall. You have Bed Bath Beyond, you have Coca-Cola, Disney, auto parts, electronics, except there's no one in there. It's just to show you this whole mall, this is our mall. These are the brands, everything in here we sourced. Invisible, behind the scenes. Virtual manufacturing. So we go from manufacturing in a country to hubbing. In the Philippines, you produce toothpaste and you feed Asia. In Indonesia, you produce soap and you feed Asia. Regional manufacturing, right, to get scale. First, you build a factory in a country. Then you build it regionally. Now, you virtualize it. I remember the old CEO of Sara Lee, and he flew out, and William Fung and I met him. And with his board, he flew in on their private jet while they still could have it. And he said, we have factories in Holland, in Belgium, in Germany, in America. And he gave this beautiful list. And then he looked up, and all his board members sat very proud, and he said, and they're in all the wrong places now. And we're stuck with 30-year loans on them. And so they also moved to virtual. So virtual manufacturing means own a factory if you need to for really unique specialized control, but virtualize the rest, but control the quality specs, aggregate the raw material. And in the global economy, Walmart and Fung are the only ones with scale now. The scale of these two companies is enormous. Exports out of China, Walmart ranks number 6 as a country over France. Not so bad. All right, I got to lose a little weight in this photo, but the point is that this is one of the great visionaries to me in the world. There are Harvard case studies, Wharton case studies, Stanford case studies, all over the place. He's been on the board of about 60 companies. He's now chairman of the International Chamber of Commerce, Harvard University board, many things. But he's a genius because he has 20,000 factories. He can have 30,000 in 2 years from now if he wants. No one can scale. And he aggregates the raw material. And during the economic crisis, Fung has a separate division. There are over 224 Fung companies. I can't keep count. And those are the main companies with subsidiaries. And during the crisis, they even went with separate company to the design and purchasing departments of some major companies in the US and Europe, and they said, you have 300 people in your corporate office, I'd like to buy them. You keep them where they are. I'll absorb them as Fung employees. We'll pay a salary. We'll absorb their salary. They're still here. They're just Fung. And by the way, I'll pay you rent on the office space they're taking. And I'll pay you up front a certain amount of money as a bonus in return for 10 years that we now control your design and purchasing department. Good deal? During the economic crisis? And you get the whole scale of Fung worldwide with 30,000 plus employees. So this model is just evolving and continually expanding because it's not only virtual manufacturing, it's knowledge network. So they control the pipeline, and when you look at logistics, you look at information flow. Shipping is integrated product flow. You can change working capital, you can change consumer demand, you can play with it in so many creative ways, but most people just think of moving boxes between places. Great companies don't. Inventory is no longer fixed in places. It can be on the water, it can be moving, it can be virtual. You can change product while it's moving, the way Dell did, the way Li and Fung does. And financial flow. Now in a global economy, anytime something moves, there's a financial element to attach. So I hate logistics because these people haven't evolved. They just look at moving things between points. But supply chain is the window into a whole transformation of companies. Who is the new CEO of Walmart? The last two CEOs of Walmart, the former heads of the supply chain department. What is Michael Dell? He's supply chain. What is Victor Fung? He's supply chain. Who just took over Apple? The former head of supply chain and operations. It's evolving. It's not shipping is in the back door, but this is like CFO, like head of marketing. You see the whole company from all angles. You have the ability to go all the way to the top and run these companies in the new economy. This is only the top part of Li and Fung. There are so many more parts. Li and Fung Trading, it's about $20 billion now, but it produces hundreds of billions of dollars of product a year for global brands. 20,000 factories, changing, every month they're adding more factories, but they're virtual, and they change. I don't have time to tell you case studies, but it's amazing. In Asia, there's some retail brands like Paragon, Toys R Us, Ferragamo, Country Road, Calvin Klein also in certain countries in Asia is Li and Fung, the brand. So they bought the franchises for the retail in certain countries. Separate group, but under Li and Fung Holding. And this is what we did. We took the old Inchcape, 150-year-old company. We took it private. We restructured it. We took it back public for about $850 million on the Hong Kong Stock Exchange 4 years later. And we created a new business model. And there are so many parts underneath this. Venture capital, IT. It's just an amazing business. You really should study this. Li and Fung, to me, is one of the two most radical business models in the world, and it's been evolving over the last 30 years. Some of their offices, networks, anything you buy is the brand. Imagine 20,000 factories, but they're not. Li and Fung is not a manufacturer anymore. It's a knowledge network. They have the knowledge of how to design products in every category. They have the knowledge to source from the best places in the world. They have the knowledge how to insert virtual factory alliances in an ethical way. They have the knowledge to link capital deployment. And basically, they're using this knowledge network to dominate manufacturing in a way that no one else has. Li and Fung even did a $3 billion joint venture with Walmart in the last year and a half to jointly source for certain product categories. Very interesting. So I'm going to argue that we go from supply chain and manufacturing, and we're moving into a whole new space, which is knowledge networks and dynamic value networks. And it's a whole different fusion of thought from normal classes and what